Good evening and welcome back to the June 11th, 2025 Board of Select Persons meeting. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do not have any meeting minutes right now. We hope to have those next week. So I look for a motion to accept the warrants.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? All right. And would somebody read the announcements, please?
Maine DEP will be hosting a public hearing here at the Municipal Building on Monday, June 16th at 6 p.m. regarding the herbicide treatment of Secocas Lake. All are invited to attend. The Planning Board will meet on Wednesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. And the next semi-sesquicentennial meeting for the town's 250th anniversary will be Wednesday, June 18th at 6 p.m. at the fire station. Please reach out to Lisa LePage for more information, 651-1594. The Select Board is meeting every other week. The next Select Board meeting will be Monday, June 23rd at 7 p.m. And as part of the hearing of citizens policy, no personal attacks on any individual or firm, including town employees, town officials, or members of the public, will be tolerated during any meetings. Please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the board of select persons outside the public meeting. Please stay current with town information by visiting www.limerickme.org.
Thank you. For department reports, I have Gail Libby for Deepvale.
Hi, Gail Libby for the Revitalization Committee. We're helping with the Deepvale project, and the Maine Community Development Block Grant Program in Augusta has been notified by HUD that for year 2025, funds have been authorized for the state of Maine. In that money is $1 million for Deepvale. So it's good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Stan Hackett, the CEO. Stan, you're up early. Or I should ask, is there anybody here from the rec department? None. Okay.
All right, if I get away from the mic, somebody draw my attention to it because I have a very low voice because I have hearing aids. So on, again, you've already said June 16 at 6 p.m. we have DEP coming in to answer and explain what they'll be doing to treat Secocas Lake. A lot of the information is already in the shopper's guide, but everybody is welcome to be there and encouraged to be there. The other aspect, DEP was here 2 weeks ago. They did some more water samplings for the contamination that's along the Doles Ridge area. They also inspected the old landfills cap and found no issues. They are submitting their report, I found today, to the Select Board, to Joanne, and to myself for the files, hopefully tomorrow. They were in the final preps of finding that report. So for the department report, building permits so far year to date, $69,088.27. Miscellaneous plumbing was $1,212 even. Business licenses of $5,083.31 so far. The renewals, the annual renewals, which are due June 30th for July 1st. And each one of those is $1,000 a piece. and that should be another $5,000 too, or have already have renewed their licenses the other day. So in permits alone, we've done $70,327. That is, so far this year, it's 71 permits, 27 of those are new dwellings. And as of May 2nd, we only had 20 new dwellings, so in the few short days, we've increased 7 more permits. In 2024, at the same time, we did 17 new dwelling permits. So there is a lot of concern about the expansive growth that we're having here in Limerick. And one of the reasons is every other town around us has already had their explosion and they're moving this way. Limerick has a very attractive community and it's very welcoming, and people are moving this way. I have some ideas as how we could resolve that, so I will do that after I go on to the next part. Has the board decided to permanently hire the law firm that we were on trial with?
I do not think we have made a decision. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think that they've been pretty good in what we've used them for so far.
I will give them a very good recommendation. I've dealt with Pretty Flaherty way back in 2000 for franchising issues with Rent-A-Husband. But the first conversation I had with them regarding a issue that we had involving an ongoing violation, and then it ended up being a standoff a couple weeks ago. The previous attorney didn't want to take it to court, didn't want to do anything because he felt that we would be spending money and not recover it. Well, that isn't really true. If we spend money, we go to court if it ends up that way, and we're going to win. And if we win, then we attach the property to make sure the town's cost is secured. This law firm, immediately, we had 2 ongoing violations. They recommended right away to do them the same day, same court date, same time, to save money. So you won't be spending an additional amount of money. They already prepared and have drawn up the summons, and now they're putting together an agreement that they will need to sign before they leave the court. If they don't, then the judge can fine them X amount a day, which is between $100 and $2,500 a day, and for every day, it's a new violation. So I do want to commend that. We're not stalling, we're not delaying, and I was very impressed with that. So that being said, I would encourage to make a final decision, only because if we start getting into litigation and we decide not to, then we have to switch firms, which is another issue of bringing the new law firm up to snuff on these situations. So it becomes another cost down the road.
Do you want to make that decision for me to reach out so we can do that, or it just stands right? I mean, we've got to be. I mean, I can look to see when we did our 30-day. But is that the decision?
Yeah, we must be getting close to the end of the 30
We have to
day.
be, yeah.
You're happy with the interaction you've had with them so far?
I am very happy because we're not delaying, we're not stalling. They haven't wasted any time, which tends to be one of the missions with lawyers that I've experienced to add to the bill. They are not going to waste any time when we go to court if it gets that far. Now, there is a chance that these people will voluntarily take care of the violation. If they should not, and we end up in court, by the time we leave, we will have an answer. And with the files that I have, I don't want to jinx myself, so I'm going to knock on wood and both there. I haven't lost a case. So, and I don't like to go to court, and I very seldom have to. I can usually communicate very well with people, and they comply without getting into any issues. So In this case, we've gone 2 years, and one of them has festered into not only a public nuisance, but a safety issue.
So it was May 12th.
So tomorrow.
And we may hear from them too, like, to move forward. But
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if we want to, I mean, I like the interactions I've had with them. I've had two
I've had
or
one,
three.
and it was-
You're saying you like the interactions. I mean, I think we should move forward. Would you be able to see if there's any cost to that? Could you reach out to them?
I can get like the next step information.
Okay, thank you.
So on that, I wanted to discuss some of the violations. One of them I have already discussed, or two of them I have. One is involving the business park, and they have encroached within the protected areas buffers, which was an arrangement that the town went through a lot of hoops and loops to get the business park for. So inland wildlife is not going to sanction the town because they know that we are addressing it, but we need to move forward and get that individual out of the buffer areas. So another one, which I don't want to give addresses, the board is aware of these, but in the location of Emery Corner Road, we do have a squatter. We did this week send out the notices because there is work being done without permits. So that is the only violation that I have authority over at this time. He's moved in. We had the state police there. He has lied to the state police, but again, that is part of a civil issue and not a town issue. The gentleman has reached out to me several times and said he was going to come in and meet with me. He has not. So the existing violation there, as far as the town's concerned, is he's doing work and a stop order was issued. He removed that sign because of no permits. The rest of it is between 23 heirs and the individual that's living in that house. So, and as far as I know, the water district was told by the family's representative not to turn the water on, and as far as I know, there's still no water there. And CMP did not clarify with me that the structure was safe enough to reconnect power because it has been vacant for so long. Now that there's somebody in there and it's on, I'd rather not go down that route and pull the plug, but I can if it's necessary. But, so that. We do have a couple other locations in town, one in the vicinity of Dole's Ridge Road, another one in the vicinity of Rangy Road, where squatters have apparently taken up some camping, and that's going to be pretty common during the warmer weather. So I encourage anybody, if they see them, send me an email, leave me a voice message. I can flag those areas with the Maine State Police. I also keep the fire department in the loop so that if there is any responses, they know how to respond appropriately and not just go in blindly and walk into a potential issue. One of these places, there was some epidermic needles found, so we really don't know what we're dealing with. Okay. The other question, there was somebody in a previous meeting that asked the board if you knew how many certifications that I had. Well, I have more than this, and I do forward all my certifications to the board, and so they're on the file. I currently, this year, have 66. I have 22 more to go and 3 certifications with Maine State Police to finish. So that's all my after-hours stuff. But I just want you to be aware that I'm always continuing and willing to learn, and I want to learn. It helps me help people. So the other question was the question of whether code enforcement can contact the attorneys. I want to say this, and I respect the board's wishes, and I do, and I will always abide by your wishes. So I'm not complaining. The ordinance, page 89, under enforcement, says that code enforcement has to take whatever action necessary to mitigate and stop the violation, including an injunction or discussing it with legal. So far, in my almost 4 years here, I have never, ever consulted with an attorney without the board's consent. That also brings to the other thing is, and again, I don't know all of the accounting stuff, but everything my department has done, and then some, we have recovered all of the legal fees and then some. And just bear with me here a second, because I was still in the violation area. In 2024, when we were resolving some tax-acquired properties, we recovered in legal fees a total of $40,425.90. Okay, we recovered other fees, the assessor fees, deputy treasurers, administrative costs, closing costs, the principal, the interest, postage, water and sewer, anything that the town could incur a cost, we recovered when we sold those properties. Then if there's proceeds, we do disperse them to the last known heir or the proper person. As of this year, because we haven't done many, but we had some that were lingering, and then we had 7 new tax acquired, 6 of them resolved, 1 of them is not interested. She's in a facility and doesn't really care. So the legal costs that we recovered so far is $9,034 just on those. So again, I'm not trying to brag, but I want to explain that the board is not just spending money, and neither is my department. We do recover those costs in any effort that we can. This is available if anybody ever needs to see it, but we have taken a total balance to the town between last year and this year. It should be right around $518,000. And that is after recovering the cost and the proceeds. So that's somewhere where we should be, and I believe it was all voted to go into the capital improvements. So the other violations that we have, and there's been one that's been ongoing, I've had 2 complaints over the last couple of weeks. Again, I'm going to leave the property unknown, but the individual has contacted me. I did go and visit with him for 2 hours. We had a good conversation. The first time the complaint came, it involved some training that he offers his facility with fire and EMS. So the second complaint, the gate was open all day on a day that it was supposed to be closed. He confirmed that. Then I issued a warning. I did CC the board on it. And that evening, I received another message that he had a meeting with his lawyer and he wanted to appeal. Well, you can't appeal a warning. It's a warning. But it is also what happened is, in all appearances, it's a violation of the conditional use that exists on that property. So, again, I commented, you can't appeal that. And apparently he's getting advice from somebody in town that's giving him poor advice. I said, if you wish, I'll be more than happy to turn that into a violation, and I will be more than happy, if the goes to appeals, to take it to Superior Court as well, and I'll recover 2 years' worth of whatever the town's cost involving this property. So his comment back was, an F-bomb, you're messing with me. I said, that's what you asked for. So I'm willing to give it the time. I have defended this person multiple times. I've given him the benefit of the doubt. He has come a long ways, but it has taken a lot of supervisory time away from that. I don't give everybody in town. So I just want to make that known, especially after this individual, for some reason, has decided to solicit fire departments to make a comment, and one of them is that I should ignore complaints. I don't ignore any complaint. I have to look at them and weigh in the source as well as the facts behind the complaint. So that is that. Now we do have 140 Parsons Field. There's new activity there. The individual that used to live there, this is a tax-acquired property, has been seen in town again. Now, this is, again, in past has been very much drug-related and a lot of drug activity. I would encourage the town, I know we do not want to do too much more selling until we can have the auditors and the accountants fix whatever's happening with the books and clarify it. But I encourage, while the market is up, and it's not going to stay up a whole lot longer, is get rid of that property. If we get any proceeds, I made a deal with DHHS. They removed the lien so that we could sell it without hindrance. But any proceeds, they will file claim, and we will be able to give DHHS the proceeds, if there are any, to offset the child support that wasn't paid. The other thing that I have is if the town, this is where legal always tells you, even though you have acquired it, don't per se take ownership, don't become a landlord. Because of the junk and other items there and the previous activity, that could be a really sad potential liability for the town. So in my opinion, I would like to move forward and get rid of that, have one more piece of property that we don't have to watch and worry about. The other ones we don't have activity on, so it really, if we have to wait 6 months or whatever it is, then we can. But this one property is becoming a nuisance. So I don't know if the board would like to move forward, but we do have from the past potential buyers. One of them wants it, they want to clean it up, but they don't want to develop on it. So, and then that's one of the abutters. So we still would have to re-advertise it and go through that, but that's,
Do we have any back problems on deeds and foreclosures and everything else?
no, nope. I will say, with the help of Dottie and Judy, we have done all the research on all of the properties that were tax acquired. We still have well over 100 to go. That has all been fixed. We have proven the deeds and whoever the last heir was and et cetera. We have followed all the processes. We still have a few that are Lake Arrowhead that we actually acquired from Lake Arrowhead that we need to send a 90-day notice to. So that is it. The only other one that is in limbo, and we've actually contacted the children of Oliver Martell, which is lot 105 on Dog Road. It is interesting, one of the daughters who inherited everything actually had a lot more paperwork, and it appears that the mother took Oliver to court after the divorce because of lack of child support. So putting the pieces together, the dates match. The court's records say it was consolidated construction, but her paperwork says it belongs to the mother. And it was for a back child support of $236.18. So again, we're getting narrowed down so that this property, the one that is interested in it and has put a deposit on, is patient, and she's willing to wait however long to do it. That property is all going to the town. There is no proceeds on that because we've owned it since 1958 or 1959. So, and the only other property that goes beyond that date is one of Hasty's properties, and that property we're holding on to see if we can get somebody that wants to be in the conservative and not develop that area. That is off in Quarry Road. That's 22 acres, 17 of them are wetland. So that's what I have. And again, I would like the board to consider what we can do with 140 Parsons Field Road. You don't have to do it tonight, but I would like that brought up and do it. The growth ordinance, and we're going to go back to the permits because, again, we've had such an enormous amount of growth. And the potential, because of LD 2003 has made a lot of municipalities, there's a lot of issues trying to slow that growth down because 2003 is geared for low-income or affordable housing. They don't want to use the word low income, so they put it as affordable housing. This goes back up north. If you're watching, you'll see that the state has now taken possession of some of the properties because the township or unorganized territory hadn't proceeded to get rid of their acquired properties, so the state took it. They have a new division called Repurposing of Maine. Now they're developing into low income, which in this area we call it Section 8. So that is a huge burden for a municipality, and especially for an unorganized municipality, because there's a lot of cost to the other taxpayers and to the town that will be assumed by having that kind of growth. With that respect, we have some other areas. I do know there's a couple more subdivisions, actually 3 that are in the wings. One is near Lair Drive, the other one's Emery Corner Road near the wellhead, and we have another one right on the Parsonsfield Limerick line. So, and a potential one that is also on Sawyer Mountain Road towards Roar Road there. That one hasn't come forward yet, but the other 3 have and have expressed concern. So those, again, with LD 2003, if they're on water and sewer, they can have up to 4 dwellings. If they're a standalone property and one lot can, as long as they meet the setbacks, can have 2 dwellings. So that is the impact that we could have with those. To help resolve that, towns have offered to have growth ordinances, moratoriums, and impact fees. The moratorium, again, we could do that, stop the permitting, but there is going to be a little bit of a glitch because the state doesn't want you to do that. They still want you to move forward and issue permits. So the growth ordinance, the cumbersome part of it about this, and we'll discuss this a little bit more. The planning board on next Wednesday night, we're meeting and we're going to discuss this too. So we've got more eyes and ears on this. But the growth ordinance, the hitch with that is if we allow 35 permits for normal single-family dwellings or whatever it may be, we have to reserve 35 affordable housing permits. Those 35, if they're not used, get carried from year to year to year. So I'm going to get some more information. I think I gave you some information from the attorneys and from MMA.
That's another state mandate?
Excuse?
That's another state mandate?
Yes, it is. There is another one that, one of the other things that I do is, and I hate traveling to Augusta, so I try to do it on the Zoom, but I belong to the LPC committee, which is the Legislative Process Committee. I'm representing Limerick, and I'm still representing Wilmington. This committee fights the new codes and some of these policies, just like James Libby does, but we're fighting those because the LD 1829 is going to be even more restrictive. It's going to remove a lot of home rule for the municipalities. So that, if it proceeds any further, I believe somebody in the House is actually going to put an injunction on it. So some of this stuff is getting pretty intensive. So,
The state wants to control everything.
yeah. So, I mean, they've allowed all these, and I'm not against foreigners coming in for a new life, but again, if we're supporting them, the municipalities end up supporting them. So if they don't have any jobs, we're supporting them. And one of the reasons why we have a shortage in housing is because we have so many people looking for asylum and for a better life. So, but municipalities this size are just not ready for that kind of growth. And I would prefer Limerick is a very nice community to try and maintain that atmosphere as much as possible. So, again, I would lean more to the impact fees. Some of the other communities around us, in particular Standish enacted one right around January. Theirs is a varying impact fee depending on the size of the project. I would lean on, after consulting with MMA, a one fee, so we're not getting into how did you come up with this formula. So, but theirs start from $3,000 to $5,000. I was thinking $1,000, but there's a lot of feedback saying we should be more in the middle to $3,000 or even more per dwelling. Those impact fees we can maintain for 10 years. We can utilize them for anything that impact fee ordinance is regulating, for example, roads, fire department, etc. So those are key areas, as long as it's something for improving that we need to think about, because you'll want to add those into that ordinance if that's how we go. The more we grow, the dirt roads we have are going to be more costly to maintain. So, and some of them are probably at the stage where they need to be paved. So this type of thing will help offset those.
It's going to help, but a lot of that's going to be impacting our schools big time.
And that's the other thing. This is another thing that, referring to some past history and doing some assessing training, I would like to see, and I'm going to discuss this with the planning board, our business district is kind of limited to this section or to that section. I would like to see the business district extended the length of Route 11 and the length of Route 5. That would allow more commercial to come in. Part of that change is I would also like to require everybody to go through the planning board for a simple review, because not every business is appropriate for the area that they want to be in. AKA, we have 7 marijuana businesses. So, and we have nothing that can stop them. So that's my ideas. Those are the things I wanted to throw out. I do know you wanted to talk about the closed winter maintenance of the roads on that. I think you should have a copy of this. This road list, thanks to Joanne and Cliff Andrews and to Bob Richardson, is all here. This stays in my office. It is also digitally made in Excel. That is always available, and I have protected it so other people can view it. They can hit the links, and it will go to the history of the road, but they can't change it. So, but everything is here. The other advantage to this is, and we've all been through this, when we have a storm event, it impacts every department in the town. A lot of it is roads, but everything that is related to maintenance or maintaining the roads is in here so that we can pull that information, and once we get established in a routine and I get the reports weekly or monthly, I will add the cost to it. So automatically whoever is the FEMA representative or the EMA director can get this information, and they'll be that much further ahead. So that I did a year ago, and now it's just maintaining it, and Ricky's been very good keeping me up to date. So going back to the closed to winter maintenance. Staples Hill Road is one that is closed to winter maintenance. We do have a new dwelling that's up the hill towards the Leamington side, and it's on the paved section. So Leamington has been paving it, plowing it. Unfortunately, at this point, Leamington has gotten rid of their road commissioner, and I'm not sure where we will stand in that area come this winter. Staples Hill Road on the Limerick side is dirt, and it has deteriorated a lot. I know the road commissioner has that underhand. So, but those are things we're going to have to consider. They did get, when they pulled the permit, the notice that was provided by an attorney many years ago to this town. It wasn't Jensen Baird, it was the one previous. issue this notice when you give a permit that this road is not maintained in the wintertime. So they are aware of it. We're not obligated to open that road at this point, okay? In some areas, we'll take Wynn Griffith, that was closed to winter maintenance. I don't know if we voted to plow it to Wynn Griffith's house. The reason why it stopped being plowed, when Griffith passed away, nobody lived on the road, so there was no point in plowing. Now there's also a potential of a subdivision there, and there's another owner that owns property from Wynn Griffith all the way to Watson Hill Road. He's not doing well, and his children may sell that property. So these are areas of concern. Watson Hill Road is another one that's closed to winter maintenance, but we do maintain it in the summertime. The individuals don't come up here anymore, so it's not as much of a priority. But I think one of them has actually passed away. But Clark's Bridge Road was brought up. That was discontinued in the 1940s when the bridge went out. So that one is not one that you have to worry about. If anybody wants to build on that, I will issue them the same notice if they want a permit. They will have to do their own maintaining. Middle Road's the same thing. That was also discontinued. Is there any other questions regarding that? Dog Road, we did vote on a year ago. That is on year-round maintenance now. And that road is in pretty good shape. I believe there's been a request by the person that lives up on the end to see if it can be ditched a little bit. And I am not going to interfere with the road commissioner because I know he's already aware of it. So. Is there anything else you had questions on with roads?
We're all set so far.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. And when I turned around, I saw somebody that has been putting little needles to remind me things. So the 22 acres on Quarry Road that we would like to preserve as much as possible. I know I have sent the select board an email saying that the water district is interested in it. The problem is it's tax required, so we can't just give it to them. It would still have to be put on the market, and if they paid $500, $1,000, or whatever they felt it is up to the board. Okay. Again, this is not a property that there's going to be any proceeds. We've owned it since the 1930s.
How many acres then? How many acres?
It's 22 acres. 17 of them are in the wetland or in the brook area that's there. This is also the area that everybody has been concerned about for the wellhead protection. And the planning board, by the way, is working on a wellhead protection ordinance. They have asked me to review it. I haven't had time because I've got all this other stuff going on, and I think the planning board, particularly Brian, has got a very good handle on it. So if they do need me to look at it and compare it to the ordinance so that we're not in conflict, I'll do that. But I'm going to let them do that legwork. I've got plenty with impact fees and other things to do. So, but that's something I would like the board to also consider. The water district wouldn't develop it, obviously, and their intent is to protect the water supply. So,
You mentioned $5,000. What for standards for impact fees?
yes.
Do you know of any municipalities that are higher than that?
What?
Higher?
There are some. Again, some of it you have to justify. So you got to be very careful. Towns are not supposed to make money. It's supposed to cover its cost. So same thing with permitting fees. Right now they cover the department. They do a little more because of the other things that my department impacts. So an impact fee, if we look at, and I've got some stuff I've got to share with the public and with the boards, For example, if we increase 7 more houses on Quarry Road, what the MDOT survey or what their analysis would say would be an impact on that road. If it's gravel, they've already done a study, so we're not recreating it. If we need to find out the level of traffic, we can get those strips that cross the road and find out how many vehicles. But a lot of this is already done with Maine Department of Transportation. So I will have more of that information, so we'll know or be able to set a reasonable one. The other impact is we also have to look at what this impact's going to have on the emergency services. Okay? So, and it will have. I mean, more residents means more calls, and we do, depending on whether they're the aging people like myself, we're going to need more ambulances. So, and I've been tempted a few times when I'm feeding my oldest dog, who's 22 years old. I have to sit on the floor with him. Getting up, I've texted Dottie and said, call the fire department. I need a lift assist. So, again, there's a little humor there, so, but we're getting there. And we do have some citizens that are aging and need more services. And if it's affordable housing or low income, you're definitely going to have a higher rate of services, a demand. So I've rattled on here for over half an hour. So is there anything else I can do or prepare for another meeting?
The amount you gave for your fees, do you know when that was through?
The what?
The dollar amount you gave for your fees collected
As of today.
as of today,
Okay. So that's year to date as of today.
as of this, just today.
Yeah. There are a few that people haven't paid for yet, so those are not in there. But
Do you know roughly how many you've done in the past week or so? Has it been
7.
7? Okay. Because your number and the number we've been reported is off.
But
So-
and it's understandable.
And it could be the difference in time.
Yeah, but, and they will not match exactly with the plumbing because their plumbing fees, 25% of that we have to take out of the fees and send it to the state. That should be really the only difference.
Okay.
Stan, do you think the ultimate goal
Yeah.
is, like, you're going to meet with the planning board on the growth thing and get but is that something possibly then you'll come back at us with that maybe we want to put on the November ballot?
I think the goal is to do something in the November area.
Okay.
Because again, if we get lucky enough that we're limited with 1 or 2 more subdivisions and hopefully small ones, we'll be lucky. But in the future, particularly with the state modifying the LD 2003, it's more inviting for these bigger developers to come in, and we will definitely get a lot larger.
Okay. I know I'm saying this because, so September 2nd is that deadline for that stuff, so.
Okay.
And I just want to make sure you knew that because figured that was the goal, so just something we want to make sure, we want to add it that we.
I wasn't aware of that, but I would ask that question because, again, the deadlines and there's public
know.
hearings that need to be
I
done.
know.
And I realize that sometimes time doesn't allow you to do it, but I prefer to do the public hearings before we have that deadline, because if there's something that really should be changed or accommodated, we can do it then. But once we pass that deadline of submitting, we can't change it. So, but one other thing that reminds me, I looked through my appointments, and I don't know if the board has done this again this year, but if you're doing any grants or anything funding from FEMA or SAMS.gov, you do need somebody that is considered a citizen's advocate. So that, I don't know if you've done another one or not. So, but that's something that you'll want to consider, because they won't release the money if if you don't have one. Giving you all kinds of things to think about.
Is that
Anything
for
else?
the money now that we're waiting on?
If we're due any monies, again, because the town reappoints people in April, March or April, if it hasn't been recorded, I send all of my stuff to the state so I know it's there. If you got anything pending, and I don't believe there's anything pending at this point, but in the future, that you do need to do that. So, nothing else, so I'm going to get out of everybody's hair.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Next on the report, I have Kristen Perkins, Animal Control Officer. I don't see her here.
So Kristen, you see, I gave you, I think that's just something for you to look at. I think that might be a change that we're going to want to maybe do for November. I don't know.
Would you be able to respond and see if she could give her input on?
Yeah, and we've chatted about her coming, and I thought that she might be here tonight, so hoping she can come to one of the ones coming up fairly quickly to give us like her feedback on it. I think that ordinance is at 1996.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
at least
yeah,
you
if
guys
could
have it
her-
to review to look at. I think it definitely needs some changes.
Perfect, yeah, and if she could kind of give recommendations on the changes, because she's the one who handles it.
Yeah.
And then Wade, our friend over here, is an ACO, so. All right, and then next I have Neil Meltzer from the Water District.
Good evening, Neil Meltzer for the Water District and the Sewer District. In January, the Water District had a rate increase, and there hadn't been a rate increase since, I guess, 2019. So it had been a while, and a large part of that rate increase was caused by just the increase in operational costs, as we've all experienced. Another part of that increase was to help address funding that the Water District gets mostly from the main drinking water program. When we apply for funding for projects such as the green sand filtration system, which we just finished, or other projects to kind of repair our infrastructure, we talked about the water tank a few meetings ago and how eventually that's going to need some work. We will apply for funding from the main drinking water program. When the main drinking water program looks at grants and looks at loans, oftentimes you are able to apply to get some of those loans forgiven. Unfortunately, the Limerick Water District usually isn't successful in getting loans forgiven because we don't have accurate information about the median family income of our users. So without that information, the state uses the median family income for York County. And that is very, very high compared to what we believe is the median family income of our users. Pretty simple. But we have to prove that. We have to prove that to them. And the way we prove that is through an income study. We've been working with RCAP Solutions, a nonprofit consultant, to conduct a confidential income study of our users for, 6 or 8 months now. And we've sent out 3 surveys. We've had 1 door-to-door session, and we have just over 50% respondents. We need 41 more people to respond. If we get 41 more people to respond, we will be eligible for the main drinking water loan forgiveness program. So let's just say 5 years, Howard, we have to repaint the water tank. That's going to be somewhere around $1 million, give or take. Give a couple of $100,000 here or there, hard to know, but it's going to be expensive. Our users can't support that. No one's good. So that'll require applying for a loan from the Maine Drinking Water Program. That'll turn into a 30-year loan. Now, if you borrow, again, round numbers, $1 million, with loan forgiveness, you can get 20% forgiveness, 30% forgiveness, 40% forgiveness. Usually the minimum is 20%. That's $200,000. That's $200,000 we don't have to borrow. That's $200,000 that the ratepayers won't see in rate increases to pay for the water tank. So I am asking people to please, 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 if you have a written survey and you have not sent it in, please do so.
What if they believe they should have gotten one and haven't?
That happened last time, John, and you announced that, and they should call the Limerick Water District office and leave a message, and we will get one to them. Now, I mentioned there was a door-to-door survey done by David Tortora from the RCAP Solutions, and thank you, Alicia, for advertising that. In order to get these at least 41 more people to respond, they are going to be going door to door again on Tuesday, June 24th, in the late afternoon to early evening, hoping to catch people when they are home from work. Please don't shoot them. Please don't sick your dogs on them. Alicia, it'd be helpful if you can advertise that again. And if we get 41 more people to respond, our income study will be valid, and we will be more than likely be eligible. Our preliminary is right now the median family income that's used when looking at these things is your county's, and that's $84,000 a year. $84,000. From the work we've done with the community development block grants and income studies, we know that 50% of the users in the area, Hollandville area, are low to moderate income. Certainly not $84,000 a year. But we have to prove it. So I'm asking the ratepayers to help us help you keep your rates down. It's just that simple. Just that simple.
When they're going door to door, are they only doing the area where the work's going to be done? Or
No,
are they doing all water district customers?
We have approximately 250 customers. They're doing all residential customers, not commercial. Residential. And again, I don't have the information. No one in the water district has the information. RCAP Solutions knows who has responded and who has not. So they will be going to those homes where people have not responded for whatever reason. Didn't get one, threw it away, don't want to respond, rent the property, whatever. Don't care. Again, but please respond. Please.
Do they have a list of, so let's say there's a building, but there might be 5, 4, 3, 2, 10 residents in it. Do they know that?
They do. They do. If each of those residents has a connection, yes. So we've been able to work with landlords, and they've been very forthcoming in trying to give us the information of who lives where in what apartments. And we've tried to use that information to give that to RCAP Solutions so they could then include those people in the survey. Some tenants choose not to respond. That's what I've been told. So I mentioned, so that's what's happening with the water district. The same thing happens with the sewer district. The sewer district has different funding, not the drinking water program, but other funding. But it's the same thing. The sewer district needs to borrow money for a variety of projects. In 2018, it was over $200,000 to have the lagoons serviced. Lagoons need servicing over time. We know that there's still old infrastructure that we haven't addressed, old meaning 100-year-old infrastructure that needs to be addressed. Last spring, we applied for funding for a sewer district project. We weren't even eligible. Why weren't we eligible? because our median family income was too high. Didn't even get in the door. Didn't even get in the door. So again, if we can prove that what the true median family income is of our users, then we are going to be able to get lower rates on funding, get loan forgiveness on funding from the water district, and from the sewer district, we'll be eligible for funding that we can't get now, and similarly be able to get loan forgiveness. So this is really critical. You know, I said last time I was here, you know, everyone hates prices going up. I hate it. It drives me crazy. It truly does. I understand it. I understand the reasons why, but it's hard. And you say, gee, there's nothing I can do. That's how it is. Your power bill goes up. You know, you turn down your lights, whatever you do. This is something that people can do that will help keep their rates as reasonable as they can be. So I would ask people to please cooperate when RCAP Solutions comes around on Tuesday, the 24th, June 24th, late afternoon, early evening.
Question, how often does that survey have to be done?
That's a good question. They're not good forever. It depends on the funder. Usually it's every 2 to 5 years, Howard. But again, right now, our baseline is York County family median income. That's what we're forced to use because we don't have any other information. And we know that's not right. We know it's not right. And if I can possibly get on, I believe the Select Board has a meeting on the 23rd. Is that correct? If it'd be possible to get on the agenda for just a brief reminder. I promise I won't give this whole talk again. I'll just ask people not to chase away the surveyor.
Does the districts, either water or sewer, have any plans for the future as far as what has to be upgraded or replaced or whatever?
It does. I mean, we had a comprehensive study done of both the water district and the sewer district by Dirigo Engineering. It's very comprehensive. It kind of lays out a laundry list. But then we discover things. We discover problems. Or things pop up. And, you know, we're trying very hard not to be reactive, and I don't believe the trustees have been reactive. I think they've been proactive in what they've tried to do with help from the town. Projects like Hollandville and Deepvale have been incredible benefits to the entire town, and clearly to the people who are on the water system and the sewer district. There's a problem. We had to decrease the size of the Deepvale project. We had wanted to go up Central Avenue a ways, and we weren't able to do that. We knew the funding wasn't there. We couldn't get it. So that's a project that needs to get done, Howard. That's pretty important. This part that we are doing is the most critical part, and we're very fortunate to get that funding, and I'm very thankful for all the work that the various committees and groups in town have done to help make that possible. So yes, there is. It's something that the trustees spend a lot of time thinking about. They wake up in the middle of the night, then they call me.
I know there's been some concerns from the people, the owners down in the business park, for the quality of the water down there. And I was asked here a few weeks ago, is the town ever going to bring water down there? And I said, we got enough of our problems. You won't ask the water to...
So I think the code enforcement officer has been very good about identifying potential hazard areas from various landfills and waste areas. We're still waiting to see where all that settles out. There are several areas in town that he's mentioned that he's concerned about where we may have to figure out a way how to get water to them. But until we can get the basic infrastructure, get the 100-year-old infrastructure addressed, it's very difficult to think about expansion. Very difficult. Who's going to pay for it? But that doesn't mean it's not thought of. One of the things we're able to do with the Deepvale project is we're going to be able to extend a line up Watson Hill Road 500 feet, mostly for fire protection. But there's a lot of houses on Watson Hill Road these days. Getting fire protection up there is huge. That also gives the opportunity to do more down the road. So the trustees work very closely with the fire chief, and trying to say where do you think we need a hydrant? What do you think we should do? And we're doing our very best to address those things. So again, please, 41 people. That's all we need. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And next I have Julie, our treasurer.
Good evening, everybody. On your website, you have your reports. They will be in a different format next week. It's been requested to decrease your expense distribution to 6 digits versus the 8, so that it consolidates your expenses. But if you need anything else, please do not hesitate. They will be there posted every week. The expense distribution, the GL, and the revenues. I have given out to the various departments their reports to have them look at them, because there is some red marks on them, and there shouldn't be, but they're getting back to me. I've heard from the transfer station. The fire department is working with me, and the public works is working with me, and the library is. I'd like to thank her especially. She's spot on. So it does help. And thank you, everybody, for contributing and making sure that you have your POs. We're still getting some departments that the main office is making the POs out for those departments after the fact, and I do not think that's the way the purchase order policy is supposed to be working, but I believe Howard's going to discuss that tonight. The warrants next week will be done on Wednesday, because Thursday is a holiday, just to let everybody know. So you'll be paid on Wednesday and Thursday. They voted on it last week. And also to let any vendors that have me hold their checks after next week, the warrants are available on Thursday. That is our new pay date, as per the policy says they're following along with that. As far as your TAN, we are dealing with the young lady that has left the lawyer's firm, and she's out working on her own. I believe that John has contacted her, but I don't know the status if she's got back. I believe she has all of the information that she has required. And also myself, I have reached out to the auditing firm of Karen that does our books, is doing our books. She's on vacation this week. I heard that from the corporate office, and I realized also that both John and Howard have contacted the owner of the company, as well as reached out to Karen, but she's supposed to be back next week. I have for you gentlemen the balances as of today on your accounts. I came in and made sure that the deposit was done today, because tomorrow and Friday I'm not in the office. I am taking 2 days off. I have a commitment previous outside of the town, but I will be accessible if anybody needs me. There was a question, and I need some guidance from the selectmen. We got paid the Moore building And I'd like to know, I put it in the miscellaneous for right now, but I would like a vote and have it in writing to where it goes to protect all of us to know where the revenues you want it posted. I posted it that way because that would, the state would show me that it should be done, and in order to get it to the bank that same day. And also, we received a $15,000 grant in, and that's deposited. And today's revenues are about $12,000, and they're going in tonight on my way home. I've already got the deposit done. Payroll checks have been dispersed, so there shouldn't be any problem with them. If anybody from the fire department is listening, please see Judy or Dee Dee. They're in her office for you, please. And the rest are in their individual mailboxes. And I would like to take a second to thank Howard specifically for working with me and seeing what they really needed, and John for the chart of accounts so that it make it easier to understand by consolidating expenses versus going out to the 8 numbers that are accessible and making it to the 6, as was noted in one meeting when they asked why diesel was posted to supplies. Well, it's the 8th, 7th, and 8th numbers that put the diesel into supplies. And now you'll see that the diesel will be in the supplies line once again and not broke out. You'll see it coded. I thank Leisha for coding the bills that she gets and everything. Just follow to everybody, please make sure you got your purchase orders. I've asked some department heads just to verify that I'm getting the right information that should be purchase ordered or not, and everybody has been very cooperative to get it done. And I believe this policy that Howard has made will facilitate it a lot more to help everybody understand it and hopefully make it run adequately.
Correction, it's not a policy, it's a procedure.
Procedure, sorry. I apologize. My bad. And if there's any other questions, that's all I've got for tonight.
I have 2 things. One, the earned paid leave, we have an account for earned paid leave.
Hasn't been moved yet. I'm making sure that the departments have the person's rates first before I move them all to that line, and that will be done by next week. We just finished doing the library this week to getting all those ladies at the proper rates and verifying the figures. It is all, wherever earned paid leave is in the chart of accounts, it'll go to that one line.
Okay, but it shows that, so 0 has been spent out of this account. And I know that I have taken earned paid leave, and at the beginning of the year, I was under the impression that all of the earned paid leave was put into a budget. It's number 13 on here with a total of $21,574. I know I've taken at least 18 hours of earned paid leave, and I'm just...
That would be a question that I'd have to turn around to MRI and ask them where they do the payroll. It is showing on your timesheets. They get the copies from Benny, and the ladies here and gentlemen, the copies of their timesheets come from this office. They do show earned paid leave, they show vacation, and once it goes to New Hampshire, that's out of our hands. I will have to check with Sally.
Well, I think the question is, if they're taking earned paid leave right now, where is that coming out of if it's not coming out of that?
That's what I've got to ask Sally.
Because
I know I understand what he's asking. Right? And that's...
Because I think what the issue at hand is we took that all out of everyone's budgets. So if they're getting charged to their payroll budgets.
It's not out of everybody's budget.
Where right now, if you're taking earned paid leave, it's supposed to be coming from the earned paid leave account.
Yes, I'm aware of that, but it still is in the line items of the individual departments. And some of them, not all of them, Alicia. I've got to do that.
So mine, so let's just take mine. So where is it coming from right now if it's not coming from that account?
I'd have to look to see what they've got. They're the ones that code it. We forwarded the information to them and see if, in fact, they are taking it from that line. Okay,
Well, it would be in that, if they were taking it from that line, it would be in that, it would reflect that
but it
account.
also may still be in the individuals. It may not get transferred over.
Okay,
Okay? But I will speak to Sally.
okay.
And then second, you mentioned the select board needing to vote on where to put the more building funds. Under the housekeeping articles, letter N, it authorizes the select board to sell and dispose of town-owned lots with or without buildings with term and conditions that are in the best interests of the town and apply those proceeds to the capital project reserve account after all taxes and costs have been paid on each parcel. So according to that, the $75,000 should be going to the capital project reserve account.
So I take out the money that's been spent for the more account as of right now from that $75,000. John's saying no. But
What money's been spent?
Yeah.
utilities and stuff, if you looked at your expense report, there has been some money spent.
No, in this, all taxes and costs mean in conjunction with the sale. So if we needed to use attorneys, the attorney's fees would be reimbursed to the legal line.
So the town's not going to recoup the money for what they paid for utilities and like that?
No, that was in our operating budget. We had that in our operating budget.
They don't have an operating budget. Everything for that facility was cut.
No, we cut it down, but we didn't cut it out. We lowered it, but we didn't cut it out.
You cut it out, more building, there's nothing. It was cut completely.
I think
When
that's a
we've spent
mistake.
$898.05. So that's why I was asking, so,
Well, those costs aren't related to the sale. So
okay.
we can't take, by our ordinance, by our town people's vote, we can't take operational money out of the sale. So the whole $75,000 has to go to the capital account.
Okay,
And I think if we look back, we changed, we had money in for the Moore building. And the night of the, did we change it the night of the special town meeting?
No.
When we voted for the building? When we voted for the building, didn't we also vote to cut the expenses for that, the budget in half?
Have to look at that.
I'm pretty sure we voted,
Well, to cut the roof out, there was a roof
We
replacement.
definitely had money in it because we didn't know we were gonna sell it.
yeah, we had
under-
money in the
When we
budget
did the
for it.
budget.
It looked like $3,570 when this green sheet was printed.
Yeah,
but then it was updated, and because this report balances to the 3 sheets that you folks did, because I had somebody else look at it, but I'll go back and look at it. But that's what I was told, all the money from the Moore building expenses was cut.
I know we cut the roof out of it because we knew we weren't gonna do that. But we knew, we had already incurred, at the time, we had already incurred some of the utility expenses and stuff, so we couldn't have cut it.
Just 1 month, there was no money, there hasn't been any money in it since the start of the budget in January.
There was, because it's right in the green sheet here that we voted on. It was 3570.
Okay, it's not in the trio, is what I'm saying,
that's-
and by the trio, it balanced to the green sheets, the white sheet and the blue sheet.
Well, whoever puts the money in trio for the budget
Okay,
should have put in 3570 in the 1st of January.
35,000,
No, $3,570.
Okay,
And then we can look back at, the night we agreed to sell the
There was
building,
definitely something in it.
we also either took a vote, or we definitely changed the money around for that building.
I'll
But we
fix
didn't
it.
wipe
I'll
it all
find
out.
it when I get it, I'll let you folks know, because I've got all of the reports to go with this.
But yes, that $75,000 should go into the capital project reserve account.
Okay? It's just a journal entry, because the money's already in your bank. So that's just a minimal project to do. Nothing serious.
Alrighty. I think that is all I had for questions.
What was the $15,000 grant money?
Apart from FEMA. It was stabilization.
So was it a reimbursement?
No, that's EMS, that was
EMS
Vinny,
stabilization
right?
grant.
That's Vinny.
Yeah, so it's a grant for Vinny?
It's
Okay.
Vinny's money.
All right.
And that was one of the ones that I'm pretty sure was spent, and the grant was to reimburse what was spent. So,
So we've already spent it.
yes.
And there's no word on the $44,000 from FEMA. And hopefully by Monday, you'll have your $34,000 from CMP. She called me yesterday and said they got the final authorization and it's being cut, thanks to their due diligence at that end to push it through. And the other one that was double paid, they're stalling, and Vinny's is looking into them to see if he can push them a little bit. Because one was paid by, there was no way to cross-reference it. One was paid by a proposal instead of waiting for the invoice, and then later the invoice came in and it was paid again. But there's no way to cross-reference because Trio uses the invoice and the purchase orders numbers. So there was nothing to kick it out.
A
Okay.
couple of weeks ago, I was in your office and we discussed uncashed checks, so outstanding checks that haven't been cashed yet. And at the time, we thought it could be as much as $100,000. Have you done a reconciliation of uncashed checks recently, or can you do one? I guess would be.
We can do it for this year. I don't know what Karen's got. I can tell it from our check reconciliation.
Why would Karen have anything to do with it?
24 is not closed in any journals that she has to do, because they write off uncashed checks at the end of the years. Certain how long they are, they write them off. If you look back in your prior years, before I came, you'll see figures that they wrote uncashed checks, write them off. They've done it for years because they did it where I came from too.
If we have uncashed checks, that money has to go to the state
No,
as unclaimed property.
not with payables it doesn't, to my knowledge. No, we've never, not unless that's something new, because
If let's say we issued somebody a paycheck and they lost it, it went through the wash, they didn't cash it, they forgot about it. If that check has never cleared our account,
we void it and reissue it in the current year. We void it and reissue it.
if we know about it, or if somebody asks. But you must be able to.
Check reconciliation, as I just,
Yes. So do you have a check reconciliation that would show every check we've written that has not cleared the bank yet?
yes,
Okay. Do we know what that dollar amount is, or can we
Not
can
right
we
off
find
the
it
top.
out? I know I don't expect you. We probably ought to find it out because it's been. If it's up to close to the $100,000 we thought, it's a number we ought to know, because it's hard to tell our cash position not knowing the checks that are outstanding.
okay.
And I ask because we've discussed it, we're getting close to where if we don't get the tax anticipation note, like we're right on the edge of needing it or maybe not needing it, right, as we discussed.
We're at 104,000, 103,
We-
a million, 1.26 million,
Is what?
what you have in your general checking right now.
This is 1.387,
All right, where are you?
what you just handed to us.
All right,
General
then I've got
checking.
2 reports in here, sorry. 1.387, yes.
And there's 400,000 or so in tonight's warrants, plus payroll,
Yes.
correct?
When you did your payroll, there was only $1.2 million in payables. The payables was only 1.2 when I originally did the payroll and payables. So we've gained,
But none of those checks but the payables that are signed on tonight's warrant, there's roughly $400,000 in checks.
yes,
Those haven't been
no,
mailed out or cashed.
no,
So if we have 1.387 million,
with what's gone in tonight, you'll have just over $1 million in your checking account for right now.
Okay. Which is, I mean,
What's the status with the lawyer? Because you said you was going to reach out to him.
I
And,
haven't heard back from her, so I don't know.
okay.
And as we discussed, if you look at the cash flow report,
Yes, sir.
it may be that we need to get the TAN in place, but we may find that if,
It's not going to be any different than it was last year when I dug the checks, joggled the checks for a little bit to make sure that we were all
I
right.
know, all I'm saying is it will be a lot easier if we know truly how much money we really have. Because if there is a list of outstanding checks that could come through that we don't know, we're lucky enough that we have enough cash that we may not have to use the TAN. Like last year, we grabbed, I think one time $400,000 and didn't even end up using all of it.
That's all we grabbed, yes,
That's
out of the
only one time.
1.7.
So we're fortunate that we have continuing income coming in. Like the $75,000 from the Moore Building is now going to be in our account.
It's already in there, yeah.
Oh, it's already in there. Okay, so there's other numbers you talked about. You got a $12,000 deposit you're making.
Tonight.
Plus the 15, is that already in?
15's already in. You
15's
got
already in.
34,000 going from
He
CMP.
may be coming. So yeah, so those revenues are going to only help us
Yes, sir.
in our cash flow position to where we may not need to grab any TAN money.
One thing we don't know is how much taxes are gonna come in the meantime. And what we've got for outstanding right now.
Well, I mean,
There was close to like $500,000 there last time I checked.
of outstanding? It could be, I didn't think it was that much, but it could be.
Well, it's just under a hair, under 500,000.
Of current,
It was up there, yeah.
Current
Of
year?
Of current. I was kind of surprised it was that high.
I thought it was in that, let's see, the revenue report that we had. I didn't think it was that much, but you may be right.
And Julie, the check that came in, it seems that there was a double payment to fire, tech, and safety. That was credited back to the correct account, correct? Have you seen this?
No, I have not been given that yet.
Okay, so there was a check that was sent out to fire, tech, and
Yes,
safety.
that's the one I was saying that Vinny was working on it, and I have not received a credit as of yet. It has not crossed my desk.
Okay. All right, so you are, okay.
Yeah, I'm aware of the fire and tech one, but we have not got the money yet.
Awesome.
The last time we talked to them, it was going to be 3 to 4 months before they'd get us some money.
Okay.
I
Okay?
think that's a different one. Isn't that
Yeah,
a
it says,
copy of the check back?
it
That's not
says-
Zolo or whatever.
yeah, it
That-
says these invoices were paid with a different check number. So, do you have a copy of this?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't,
The Zolo's the one I was thinking, sorry.
The Zolmonder, yeah. Okay, so then, yeah, this, just want to make sure it gets credited back to the account that it
It
came out
would be
of.
when the check is voided.
Okay.
It's got to be less than 500,000, Howard, because as of town report time, it was under it was under 500,000 that was owed for 2024.
Yeah, my question is, I wonder how much more we're gonna get in there.
Yeah, I mean, we can look back.
Just squeaking by, or?
Well, that's what I was saying. We may get enough revenues in as stuff comes in, so we can squeak by to get till
Let's hope.
new tax payments start coming in. It's going to be close.
And have either of you gentlemen heard from RH&R Smith and Company?
I have not.
I've got to call into them, but they haven't called, well, I'll take that back. They said they would get back to me next week because she was out.
Okay, thank you. Because I don't want to hound them if you folks are making contact. Is that it? Any questions from the audience? Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to old business. First thing is review of legal accounts. There's nothing on this week's warrant. The next thing is lights for the municipal building. We have 2 quotes to review. The quote from Boucher Libby does include removal of the lights, and I'm assuming the other one does not.
No, I think it does. That was the question you wanted me to go.
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
ask
Okay.
And see if his included that, and it does.
So the quotes were from Boucher Libby for the Scout and the Masonic building in Limerick to replace the lights, where it was $700, including disposal, and installing up to 128 4-foot LED lights in the municipal building. That includes disposal for $6,300. We had another quote to replace and dispose in the Masonic temple space on the 3rd floor of the old town hall and dispose of the fluorescent lamps. That's $1,195. The Grange Hall was $900. That also includes disposal. And the town hall, this building, was $10,550. So it looks like Boucher Libby is cheaper. We discussed that the Masonic building needs to have them replaced. Is that what started this? And the code enforcement?
We said code enforcement for sure, and the Masonic, and I know we talked about the Grange was another one that. So those were
Okay.
kind of the 3
Yeah.
more important ones, and then, well, we had them quote the rest of this building, but yes. Code for sure.
I said this, I think, last time we brought this up. I don't see any sense in changing these right now in here. Maybe these other buildings, those, when I went around with one of them, it appeared those should be changed, but here, I don't think these are old enough. In the amount of savings we're gonna get, I just don't see this worth the investment in it.
Do we have any other plans for energy efficiency upgrades? Because the money coming from this would be the ARPA funds that we transferred into this account. And I know there was some recommendations about other efficiency upgrades. And I do know the code office does need kind of new lights, and that's what started this whole thing, was because of the events up in the library. It shakes the current fixtures that are in there.
Theirs are still by chain.
And theirs are still dangling by chain. So is there a motion on? Yeah, and then I said that there were recommendations from the Building Advisory Committee. Yeah. So is there a motion? I am seeing none. We will move on.
So is that just off the table now? Crossing it off then? What?
Is there any way, Bern, you know more this than I do, is there any way we can find out what the savings would be from those, changing them over?
I know we looked at, it's quite some time before you do see it. I thought we looked that up before, if it's, it's years at least.
I know back, it was quite a long time ago, when they started talking about the energy efficient, this whole energy efficient they were doing. If you couldn't get the money back in 6 to 7 years, a payback on it, it was a bad investment. And I'm just wondering if we don't have anything to gauge that.
I don't think we have anything to gauge it. I don't know if Gil was doing this, if he kept any paperwork.
No,
or-
we had something. We had something from before when lights got, and I want to say it was from minutes, because the lights out in the hallway, and Cindy might have given it to me when they were last changed here, and it said how long, and I want to say it was either 3 or 5 years that you see it, start to see the change. What? Yeah, I can't remember when. It was something we had that we looked at.
When we switched the street lights to the LED
Can't tell because they charged us for, they kept charging us for both, and
That's that
that's
credit
why
we're
we're getting
getting
that
back.
big refund,
Getting
so,
the money back.
so we don't know yet. And the street lights, we pay per light, so it's not like we would know what the actual usage is. So you wouldn't know. But what if we do the two,
Can we at least, yeah, do
what if we do the Scout
code
Building, the Masonic area, and the code office? Because those are ones that need to be done, and let's leave these for now. So let's,
I agree.
so I make a motion, we do the Scout Building, the Masonic Building, and just the code office in this building. And we have Boucher, Libby Electric do them.
Second.
I second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right.
We're just going to keep in mind that we do have funds that we've allocated to
And have
energy
to spend.
upgrades in any building in the town. So, and those are going to have to be expended by the end of next year, I believe. So, maybe we look at putting, this air conditioner is always a trouble in this room. We can't keep it on. Maybe we look at putting a mini split
Mini splits in here.
in one of the rooms of the office somewhere to start, at least get a price on it. I know we talked about putting it in the Scout Hall. That was part of a heat pump, but that was a separate line, because we already had a price for that, right? When we allocated the money at the end,
I don't think we had a price for it.
I thought we allocated a specific amount for the Scout Hall, and then
It
the
was
rest
what
of it,
was left.
what was left to do all the energy upgrades in the town, anywhere.
Because originally we were going to do it per building, and then I think we dedicated so much to the fire department, and then the remaining
I
balance
just want to say it was the remaining balance.
to
It was said
town energy efficiency upgrades.
Upgrades to all town buildings.
So if we wanted to, we could spend the total amount on the Scout Hall if we wanted to.
Yeah,
Well, we can see what the amount will
Yeah.
come out from this.
yeah, and go from there.
Speaking of energy efficiency, I spoke to a person that's got, it's an app, but to check these walls in this building, because when the school had it, I don't know, there's some holes out there in back, which led me to believe possibly they blew some insulation in here. But this person said he'd come in, I don't know if this is gonna work, because it's on the phone, as opposed to hiring a company to come in for X amount of $1,000 to scan this whole building, just to see what we've got. Because there's no sense in doing anything on the side or anything on there unless we get this place insulated.
Would the fire department's thermal imaging camera do anything and give us any idea if they...
In the wintertime it would.
In the wintertime,
In
it
the
would.
wintertime it would.
Yeah, I don't know how it'd be right now, how good this app is, so. I've seen it used, but the temperature difference,
I mean, maybe in the winter...
I mean, it may be on a very, very hot day,
you might
and it's cool in
cool
here.
off, Yeah. Be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see, just to get an energy survey, how much it would cost. So we've got a rough idea,
yeah.
really.
When you was talking about the APR, and I know Dee Dee had sent out a mass email, has that been replied to? Because we're coming to a time constraint on the last newest report, I believe.
Correct.
I want to just make sure it's done and it don't fall through the cracks.
It will not.
Fall through the cracks, it won't get done.
It will not fall through the cracks.
Thank you. I just didn't want anybody to forget it, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next we have review of policies. We have a background check policy here.
Those are the changes I made based on the discussion we had last week. We just
Yeah, I think
condensed
this
it
is,
down.
I think this is good. So is there a motion on this to accept it?
So moved. Second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Next, we have the personnel policy to sign with new changes. We've already accepted this, and so we just need to sign this at the end of the meeting. More building sale. We are all set and the checks have been received. And that will come off the agenda now. Is there any update on the parking lot?
They still got not quite 2 weeks left to respond.
Okay.
I think the responses are due the 23rd, so.
John, is there any update on the overlook camera?
They told me they're gonna put a test camera up there in the next 2 weeks. To see, a cellular one, to see how it works, and then figure out how they can get that to this building. Or where, so.
Perfect. Review winter maintenance and road list. We are going to wait until the next meeting during the road commissioner's department report.
Well, and Stan kind of touched on that tonight too, so, like on the roads.
It sounds like there's some changes that need to be made and the current one doesn't match, so. Discuss purchase order policy. Gail, do you have something on this?
No, so Gail gave you have it, I believe, look through your file.
Yes.
What page?
There's a little tab on the side. So she spelled out the SOP that we have now in more of a defined way for people. That is the signature that's required for the changes that were made before on it. It's not changing anything that we currently have, that one.
And Howard, I know you said you were gonna send, have you had a chance yet to look at this?
No,
Okay.
I've got it, but I
Yeah.
haven't started. I think we ought to table that till next week,
I agree.
next meeting.
Alicia, do you have anything on the Spectrum invoices?
So I am going to not have a tech come, but believe it or not, we have a Spectrum rep that's still our rep. So I reached out to her. It's this $115.98 bill that nobody could really figure out. So she told me that we do have free TV and we pay to have 2 extra adapters. So you should have 3 boxes. So basically we're paying for 3 cable boxes here and 1 is free. So she said it also has an older internet connection on the account that she thinks is really slow. So if somebody was using it, they'd certainly be complaining about it. So what the next step is, she gave me a phone number. I'd like a tech to come. We can basically get rid of 2 of the boxes we don't need, like that we're paying for. And if that internet line it doesn't sound like it's connected to anything that we're using, because the other one is business internet that they have in theirs, and that's the one that we use.
Do you know where those extra 2 boxes are?
I say we start looking under desks.
Yeah,
Who's
I
watching
mean,
TV at
we found one of them is in the media, the numbers match, but we might not even have the boxes, and we could be paying. I don't know, but she said that's what that account has on it. So she agreed. We certainly are paying for stuff that we are not using, and she would be more than happy to continue to help with it. She couldn't do any of the disconnections with it, but would certainly follow through with helping to make sure that we're getting rid of what we're not using, but anything that we need, we will keep. So.
The trouble with the boxes, they change the boxes out, they don't change the numbers, so.
Gail?
Cable box?
So Alicia, we have cable, right?
Mhm.
We have cable and it's free.
Yep. 1 box is free.
So you should consider, that's free, so assuming you're not going to undo it, but you might want to consider using the television it's usually back here, but the big TV, and having a connection in Judy's office by drilling a hole through the wall. And when you have overflow, you can simply turn it on, and they would be real time.
Is it real time with cable, or is there a delay?
It's real time, as far as I know.
Okay. I just ask that because there's sometimes that people message me and it's like 2 minutes after, or like 30 seconds after.
It's going via internet to Hollis, and then Hollis switches it to cable. That said, you are reliant on the consolidated internet line here, 100%. The consolidated line. SRC-TV made the comment, I know you have another internet line, you may want to, you should keep it if consolidated goes down. If consolidated goes down, personally, I think Spectrum will go down too, because it's all the same cable at the street, I believe. But you'd have to make sure that's true. Okay, I don't know the technical portions of that, but that's what the technician from SRC-TV said to me. Okay, so, but I don't know, personally.
Those other two boxes are upstairs in the library where your computer's up there.
Hell, they might be right there.
We look for those 2 or 3
We
weeks
found one.
ago.
We just have, the well, and we have one number that matches up. This one has been since 2011 too.
That's an internet box. And we're looking for cable boxes?
There's one underneath. The one that the number matched was underneath.
Yeah, but that's an internet router.
There's no doubt.
I don't know if that's...
One of, that we're certainly paying for something and we're not utilizing. I have 2 bills. So that's what I like to do is have a tech come basically and show me.
Have a tech come and figure out what it is. As far as overflow
That
in
part's
these
for
meetings,
free.
aren't we gonna hold, if we know we're gonna have a big meeting, aren't we gonna move to the fire station? Hold any meetings from now on?
I don't know. I
thought
think that was
we discussed that.
we discussed it briefly. I don't think there was any decision made on that, though. And I think it's on a case-by-case basis.
Just have them turn them right off and see who complains.
She said it's easy enough to reactivate.
Turn them off and see what happens. Let's hope there's nobody on life support.
Well, she said the internet that's connected to it is absolutely slow. She said if somebody was using it, they would be complaining about it. Like, you'd know that.
Maybe that's what the treasurer's office has. Maybe that's why the reports are printing so slow.
So that's where we're at with that. So I'm working on it. She does have free internet. Well, supposed to.
We have one for the Rick Town Hall, one for here, and one for the transfer station. Internet, that might be the 3 boxes.
She said cable. She said internet was connected here to that account, but it was super, super slow. Like she said, I find it really hard to believe anybody would be using that one. But
Maybe it's what my computer was
3
connected
cable
to
boxes. That's what it is on that.
When they come in, they would test that TV to the cable box to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think we need to do is to have just a tech come and tell us.
We'll get on that.
Spectrum nightmare.
Never ending.
I mean, we've been months with that.
So if the internet goes down, you will not be able to do anything. Just either system. Just know that.
Isn't that how it is now, though? Right?
This is both streams going out are on the internet. Cable gets connected in Hollis. When the internet feed hits Hollis, then it's put out on cable.
Okay. Update on the CDBG award letter. The message kind of got cut off on here, but I think it's just this email.
It's on the back. Oh, did it?
The message on here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we chatted about that a couple weeks ago. So that's the email that Gail had gotten, or I think it's to Katie, because she was the last person on and the letters what we received wanting somebody to
Hey,
be
that-
designated.
I've read this letter before, and it
So-
says, as a condition of your award, your attendance, and this letter is addressed to Katie. So therefore,
We should have her go. If you're watching, Katie, you're in. We just voted
Yeah.
for it.
so this letter, in bold letters, it says, as a condition of your award, your attendance is required at the CDBG implementation training workshop later this year. Further details will be forthcoming.
We certainly can cross that bridge when we find out when it is.
The further details.
And where, yeah, if you want, I just know we discussed it briefly, so I didn't want to.
There's no date on it.
No, it's the
Yeah,
same
it's-
letter as last time.
It has more info to come, but
Does it have to be one of the selectmen? Or select persons, sorry.
I have had that role for
Okay.
a number of years because it did not have to be a selectman. But a selectman has to be at all the meetings that are held during the execution of the project to sign the payment schedules. And they should be you should understand this process. Somebody on this board should understand this process other than me, because I'm going to retire from this. Okay, so it's really important if you
So-
want to continue to try to get CDBG money.
So yes, a select person has to go to this meeting.
No, you can assign a representative, and that's what they did when Joanne Andrews did it when she
Okay.
was a selectman. Okay, and I was assigned to that, and I went to the 2-day training. And I have handled a number of things for when Deepvale's done for 3 different projects. Okay, I'm going to retire from that. All right? Okay. After Deepvale.
Well,
so we can wait until
we have
you
the
receive the
further
information
details.
when it is.
Yeah. I mean, unless anybody else's position has changed, I'm not committing to something until I know the details of it. So once the letter that says further details will be forthcoming, once they forthcome, we can decide from there. All right, that is all I have for old business. New business, we have signed a municipal deed.
So it was a change that, were you in there when Dottie brought it in? So I believe it's a change, it went to the registry of deeds, she put a note on it, and,
This was a corrective deed that was signed on May 12th. The registry rejected it
yeah,
because it needed the sentence, she bolded it to explain why it was corrected.
yeah, so it just was a change that the registry of deeds making, so you just need to re-sign it.
Okay.
It's one you've already approved.
Perfect. So we will sign that. Brush hogging out behind the municipal building.
So this, I had a question, somebody asked me this about what our thought process was. Now there's the garden, like, is that just going to be mowed down, like mowing around it, bush hogged? Is there any plan with how terrible it looks? Is what I,
It was always mowed once a year just to
Yep.
keep the brush down.
So do
But
we want to,
now, where there's all kinds of holes and mounds and everything else out there, I'd say put a rototiller through there. Because I don't know how bad it's going to be to rototill.
You know, there's some rocks out there. I know you don't want to spend much on it because they may end up re-sloping that when they do the parking lot project to take care of the water coming down off the hill.
We really should get at least a half a dozen test holes. It's not going to take probably an hour, just finding out where the ledge is for these guys, for the parking lot project.
I haven't walked up there. Has anybody walked up where the garden was?
I've looked at it.
Done what?
You've been up there?
I've looked at it
You've looked at it from the...
from when I turn into here.
Oh, okay. Just like...
Make my turn around the building and park.
Is there any piece of equipment that you could go through there right now? I'm looking at you, Rick, because that is more extensive than mowing. I'm thinking one of those things that they use when they,
A flail mower.
is that what it is?
It's a
Well,
big
that,
bird.
does that deal, what if you hit rocks and stuff?
Walk through it first and mark out all the rocks.
Yeah. There's rocks there. I mowed that once with mine ages ago.
What about that thing that I usually see on the front end of a bobcat that just churns everything up? It's not really a
Almost looks
rototiller.
like a snow blower.
It almost looks like that, but it's a, okay,
Flail mower.
that's not the thing the one I'm thinking of turns this way,
They're thinking of like a forestry mulcher.
and it just churns everything up and lays it back down.
At this point, couldn't you take them in the excavator and just go across there and just level it out for now? Yeah. I would think that, get bury the holes and stuff. And then, after it's somewhere near level, put a rototiller in there. Because that's definitely gonna have to be reseeded. Or,
Sorry, Rick, it wasn't my intention.
All right, so we'll get that looked at.
If push comes to shove, hire somebody, do it with a weed whacker, just to knock it down till you know what you're gonna do out there.
That'll take 28 hours.
I'll take it if it's paid by the hour.
Take your new tractor and do it.
Yeah. Hey, no, that's brand new. Needs to fix my property first. All right, Spirit of America Award recipient. We need a candidate by the end of this month.
So that's something we usually don't announce on air. Last year it was awarded and very deserving to Neil Meltzer. So something you guys want to think about, if you want to email, text me, let me know if we have a candidate this year. I certainly can take over from there at a write-up.
what are the qualifications for that?
I will send you the email
Okay.
that they pick from, like
Okay.
what they look for.
Okay.
Revitalization Committee requests. There is a paper of them.
So I wrote them out. So last time Wendy stood at the podium, she wanted to be here to go over them. She can be here at the next meeting, but I still felt like it was good for you guys to have those. Those are the questions and answers they'll be looking for to discuss and move forward on.
You said she's going to come back next.
Yeah, she can be at
Just
the
think
next
about that,
meeting,
yeah.
but I still just felt like if you guys had them, they were good for you to at least see and maybe thought process on some of them ahead of time.
Thank you. Next, we have appointment request of the Community Development Advisory Committee for the Deep Vale project. So I will make a motion to appoint Joanne Andrews, Stephanie Bishop, Martha Hamilton Smith, Gail Libby, Neil Meltzer, Ricky Richardson, and Wendy Thorne to the Community Development Advisory Committee for the Deep Vale project.
Have they all agreed to do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, all those in favor. All right, opposed? None?
Keep back and go just for this,
Yeah.
these requests.
Yep.
The last one said, can $100,000 in the deep fill account be put into a 9-month CD to earn more money? I mean, that's something I would say the answer to that is no, because we use that money to pay bills every day. So it's not separated now. And that helps us with our cash flow until we actually need to spend that money. So I think if we were to, I think the little bit that we would earn extra putting it away probably isn't going to be any more than we're getting out of our sweep account, which pays pretty decent interest as it is. So I guess on that whole sheet, I would not recommend moving any of that money anywhere.
All right. Next, we have sign required forms for the CDBG grant and Deep Vale. These are papers to sign that are required by the State of Maine Community Development Block Grant Program. It just needs our signatures. That we are equal opportunity and fair housing. And, yep.
In there, there's a policy you need to adopt, and I'm not sure, maybe you already have one. And then there's two for ADA, it's called the 504, and fair housing, that has a transition plan that you need to answer before you sign. Thank you. And they're standard with every grant.
Yep.
Copy them
Yeah, so,
and distribute them.
yeah, we'll get copies of these to the rest of the board before we leave. I
Yeah,
can make
so-
copies after.
We can, well, we can add those to the next, yeah, we can add those to the next meeting. Would that be okay? If they,
We're hoping that we can have it settled by
we know we said.
the
Monday.
23rd, is that the next one?
Yeah,
That you could
well,
sign on the 23rd, we're
Yeah,
hoping.
so I just want to make sure that's, okay. So if I add them.
Oh,
for them to
absolutely.
sign. Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect. Yeah, so I'll email them all
A lot of reading there.
Yep.
Next, we have a quote from J.P. Carroll. A total, or we have a quote to replace 1.5-inch steam pipe under the staircase near the old cafeteria in the basement at the Limerick Municipal Building. For all parts, piping, and materials to perform tasks as above, and hours and labor, it's $1,125. And this is for a repair of a steamer pipe that is causing that noise that we hear, Alicia? Is that what this is?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd look for a motion to accept this proposal.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? All right. All right, there's a couple more things. Any update on the tree work, John?
So, Alicia reached out to the gentleman that we awarded the contract to. We haven't signed any contract. Her reaching out to him was just to see if the date of the 19th might work for him, because this building would be closed. It appeared that he took offense to the email and wanted to know why we were setting, and in the email she said, you can, as far as Tibbetts Park, you can do that whenever you want. He took offense that Alicia was scheduling him, and no one was going to tell him what days she was going to do the job, and whether he wants to do it all in one day, and why was he being pushed to do it in two. So I responded to him and said, no one was pushing you to do it in two. The 19th was recommended because this building's closed, and it might be a good day to do it. And if you want to do them all on the 19th, go from here to there. That's fine. He sent me a response I won't read because it was colorful. He did say that he's going to do the both projects on the same day. He's not doing Tibbetts Park on a separate day. And I said, nobody expected that. Would the 19th work? I sent that message on the 2nd of June and have not heard a response. I reached out to him one more time and asked if the 19th would work, and I yet have to hear another response. So I'll continue to reach out for another week and see where it goes.
I have heard the responses, not the response to you, John, but I have heard some of the responses that he has given, and I don't believe that I, as one of the 5 select board members, with how much work Alicia does, I don't think it was appropriate to talk to Alicia like that, let alone, and I also don't believe that the work should be awarded anymore to him. I don't know what the process is for taking that away. I mean, we haven't signed into contract, but just the way that he treated over a question was a little too much. I don't know if the rest of the board has heard or seen the...
I've seen it. It was
Yeah.
way too much. It was way too much.
So,
It was just a simple request made.
Did you, I didn't see the response to you. I don't know if you sent that to me. It was,
Yeah, I haven't gotten one from him.
you didn't get a response from him.
No, he hasn't responded to me at all.
So what response are you talking about that was going to be too much?
then the one,
Was the one that I sent you?
so that's the one that I heard.
His response to me that I said, yeah,
Okay, all right.
okay.
But I haven't, he's not responded to one single email I've sent. He's gotten them, clearly. But clearly before work commences, he hasn't provided any insurance forms either. That's the other thing that you'd want to make sure you get. But I haven't had any other, and I'm totally fine. You guys still hire him and have him. I've just stepped out of it. He clearly thinks I'm some type of idiot. And, I gave him, he wanted a 2-week notice. I felt like when I reached out at the beginning of June, I just said that he was the 19th, we were closed. I would figure this building shouldn't be open. Maybe you guys don't care with people in and out, driving in and out, and him cutting. I said he could do Tibbetts Park another day, meaning I don't care when you do Tibbetts Park. Like, if you want to do it the same day, that's fine. I was just saying the municipal building will be closed on that one day. Might work best, unless he takes Juneteenth off.
And
maybe he does.
He certainly,
So,
if we agree to not work with this guy, I don't think it's going to break anybody's heart. His response to me certainly, I mean, I know you've a little bit of, I think he read your email wrong.
if he would have reached back
But he could have reached back out to you
me,
and
I'm
done
like,
it.
we
You
could
could
have
have,
easily handled.
yeah,
And my
absolutely.
2 emails before
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
that was my 3rd email to
And he did,
him.
yeah.
Like,
I get it.
And this is...
and I forwarded that email. You guys were all a part of that email. So you could go back and see exactly what I sent
Yeah.
him. So I'm totally fine. I deal with all of the contractors here. I have no problem. Listen, I got a backbone. I don't care what you call me. But if
Can
you
you
don't
correct me?
respond to me, I can't make any deals. I can't handle
You
it.
can't complete your project if he
But
doesn't
to
get
reach
back
out to John from that, like, he got my email, he didn't like it. Well, come at me.
Can you
Tell
correct me if I'm
what-
wrong, but isn't this company also the one who we asked for sealed bids and he sent his in an
It was
email?
an email bid, yeah.
And
He is significantly lower. It does fall in our budget for it. And I'm sure he does fine work and will do a great job.
I don't
know.
disagree with that,
just-
but I think that
Well,
if it was any other contract, we would be, the one time we didn't go against, I don't know, I don't want to say that, I'm not going to finish that sentence. We went in accordance with the policy, we were going to go with a bidder who bidded the correct way via sealed bid. And then it was brought to our attention that we got this bid via email, and it was brought to my attention before, and I didn't mention it because it did not meet the bid qualifications. So in my mind, that's out the window because he didn't bid properly. And then somebody showed up and mentioned that we got a bid via email, and even though that it wasn't turned in properly, it was cheaper.
Well, and I think because our other ones, now that we've separated that account, we don't have enough money to do the project with the other bidders without going to the taxpayers and moving money, asking to move money. So I think that was the initial goal, right? Like, we have the money in that account, we could get the job done. And great, like, get the job done. You just have to communicate with me. I mean,
The only thing I can think of is basically what you said, John, is if we're having this kind of an attitude at this point, what's going to happen if we get going on this project where you have an attitude?
Well, Yeah, I mean, if we decide not to go with him, clearly, he's not gonna have a
He
problem.
mentioned that he doesn't mind that.
He doesn't, if we decide not to go with him, quite frankly, he doesn't care if those trees stay there for the next 10 years. Was his quote. And that, well, I just, at this point, we just gotta figure out how we move the money. We move forward with somebody else and try to get them done before winter time when they start falling down, I guess, right?
And listen, like I said, if this board wants to move it, you're not hurting my feelings whatsoever. I just stepped away. He's not dealing with me. He won't deal with me.
Correct, but I don't feel that.
So I can't schedule something that somebody won't
I,
deal
as
with
one
me.
of 5, so I'll just put that out there. I, as one of 5, do not believe that anybody should communicate about any other person the way that happens.
I'm sure I've been called a lot worse, but that's okay. I'm okay with it.
Why don't we keep the trees, let's put them back on the agenda. I think if we have some other quotes.
Could we reach out and see if those are still valid?
We'll see if those quotes are still good, see if those quotes would be good if we moved towards the fall with the project. Then by the time August or September rolls around, we can look at our budget. Then we can hold a quick special town meeting and say, can we move some,
I was just gonna say the same thing.
we'll move some money, see, great minds think alike. Should we get a town vote to move some money around to make it work for one of the bidders that was more expensive? And we can do it on a half-hour meeting before and by then we'll know, we'll be 75% of the way through the year, and we'll know if we have money left over from a different piece of the budget to
If it
move.
was me, based on the hot top and everything else, I'd wait until the ground froze. And,
Yeah, I don't know how late they can do them, and that's
For
well,
Howard said?
removing them. He said he was worried about the hot top and stuff like that. But I mean, I was saying late fall, we don't want to forget about it, because if they start falling down this winter, we're going to be
No, I think, yeah.
not looking very smart. So let's either keep it on the agenda or keep it in the file.
That's totally fine. I just don't want to be responsible. I don't want to be the one that's costing more money. Like, I don't want it that
I don't think anybody thinks that you cost us any more money.
No, but I mean,
It's not.
if you guys want to hire that person, then I'm totally fine with that.
All you asked him is, hey, do you think you can do it on the
You're
19th?
trying to give him a good
Tried to
suggestion.
save him some money, he didn't have to have flaggers out there watching people with cars coming in and around.
Yeah, it'd be a day that the building was empty. It'd be perfect for him. It was like,
I
and
just
he
thought, like, yeah, I just wouldn't,
So,
you know,
it's-
lose a lot of people in and out. I thought it was actually a great idea.
we just move on.
Yep. All right, next I have Mellon's trash pickup. We have received 3 or 4 complaints regarding trash being picked up or not being picked up yesterday. It has been brought to our attention that the trash pickup was earlier yesterday than says in the contract. Contract states from 6 to 4 is when it should be picked up. They started picking up yesterday around 5:30, from what
I think they can change the time, I think a little bit lower than that, which is fine. I think they need to just advertise it. And if they advertised it and they let us know, we'd be happy to put it on our website. We could put it on our Facebook. We could put it out there too. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it does fall on them to let us know that there is a change. Like, that's just part of the contract, that you're not supposed to start before 6. So if you are, there has to be notification of,
I spoke to,
letting people know. And like I said, I'm happy to share that on our website. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to share that information. So, but it does technically fall on them when they're changing the times.
the thing that irks me about this whole thing is he signed a contract saying he's gonna start at 6 o'clock. Why, and he told me yesterday when I talked to him, that he says, well, we've done this for a couple of years like that. Why didn't he put that in the contract? Said on a certain date, we're gonna start at 5 o'clock. It's just,
Well, maybe in the past he's advertised it and said, but I don't think, I think we just ask him to put an ad in the paper, say for the summer months. We may
Like I
pick
said,
it, we
I'm
may
happy
start
to-
collections at 5 o'clock.
Share that same thing, share that same ad on our, like I said, on
Yeah,
our
it
stuff.
shouldn't, it's, I don't think it's.
It's not a big deal, it just, I think he
Yeah.
needs to know, like, that's, you know what I mean, like, the step towards it. Because if you are, you know, used to the time, it would, if you do put it out in the morning, maybe a lot of people put it out at night, but.
I got a call just before I came up here. One of the people, her neighbor, came over and got her trash and took it down to the transfer station for her. But I
I thought he
didn't
was
hear.
gonna pick it up today.
Well,
Yes.
We started yesterday afternoon, and I texted him 3 times with no response. Then I finally texted him and said, if you're going to pick it up, you know, tomorrow, I'd like to know what time so people know to put it back out. He didn't answer that. The problem with 5 o'clock is you're going to ask people to get up at 4:30 and drag their trash out to the curb for 5 o'clock, and I don't think that's very convenient for people. So what's going to happen, they're not going to do that. They're going to put it in a truck, and they're going to bring it to the transfer station. Right now, we're taking in between 30 and 40% of the trash at the transfer station because people get very frustrated because he keeps changing the order that he goes in. 3 times this year, he picked up at my house at 5:30, 5:35. He's picked up at 8:30, and he's picked up at 10:15. And people get all confused, and they finally say, the heck with it, I'm just going to take it to the transfer station. But there are people that have to depend on it, and those people really don't want to get up at 4:30 and drag it out to the
They can put it out the night before.
yeah.
They can put it
Yeah,
out the
they
night
get-
I know.
Get scattered all over the place.
They won't, I've told everybody, put it in a barrel with a secure cover. I do it, and I've got 15.
I was gonna say, I've had one,
I've
in
got
3 years, I've
15.
had one incident of a deer being happy, or a raccoon, or a car, I don't know.
I've got
Somebody hit it.
15 barn cats, and they don't get into it. I put mine out Sunday night, but they don't want to invest in the barrel. They just want to
With a
put a
bag.
bag to the curb.
Do you think people they're willing to get up at 5:59 but not 4:59?
Yeah, seriously.
I guess,
Comes twice a day, John. Remember that.
yeah, well,
So,
That's the only issue.
so the last word I had was an email from him that he'd spoken to Howard, and that I'm to tell everybody that it's going to be 5 o'clock from now on. That was his last
Wasn't
text
any
to me.
agreement with me on that. There wasn't any agreement with me on that.
Yep.
No,
he said he spoke.
Want me to email him?
Let's have Alicia email him tomorrow and let him know that he needs to advertise it. The contract's very specific, and it's funny because this contract, unlike some of our others, if there is, call this a breach, there's no wording for the breach. Like, we can't, there should be and there isn't. It says we gotta take it to Superior Court, so we don't wanna do that over an hour.
Come to mind, this whole thing, I said, well, maybe he's broke down. But
He was, no, leaving too early, so.
So they're
just-
starting at 5.
He did the job too good.
That's what he
At five,
said. That's the last word I got, that he, from now on,
So let's
it's 5
post it on
o'clock.
Facebook, let's post it on our website. Anybody listening tonight, the trash may be picked up as early as 5. And tell them, according to the contract, it says right in there, it even names the newspaper, that he has to put the ad in the shopping guide. So have him put the ad in.
Let's hope this contractor likes me.
They'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no breach clause if he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
So.
They'll do it.
All right, and then I also have, we've received a few complaints about Boy Scout Island, the gate not being unlocked for the last 2 days. I have attempted communication with the person who we have hired to do it. The gate was open today and was locked today. Thank you to the people who did that. I am going to monitor the situation. I will take a drive down there myself tomorrow. I leave for work around 8 o'clock.
We have a couple other people who are watching.
Okay. And if this issue continues, we will address it and take whatever action is necessary.
Do you have a key?
I do not. There's a code,
It's a
though.
code.
Oh, so if you go down there at 8 and it's not open, open it up.
Okay.
That's what I had today.
Alicia, I need the code.
And then check it tomorrow night.
All right. Give me the 200 on.
The girl who takes care of the kids coming to ask for new codes tomorrow. She put it on Facebook tonight.
The new code?
Someone keeps on changing, doing something to the code and locking the gate.
I don't know. That's weird because the same code worked today when we opened it this afternoon.
Yeah, we had somebody from the town go down there and.
She's doing whatever. When she opens it, she
Why don't we have just a key lock
when
on
she
that?
goes back, she's finding the numbers moved to the correct number. So someone is messing with it, according to what she said.
Why
Well,
don't
and
we
it was
just have a-
locked, like it was closed.
Why isn't it just a padlock on there with a for a key? So those,
Events like this.
I know. I think we just. I don't know if you guys have always.
We can swap it to a key, but I mean, we just should have numerous backups for events like this, or on a Saturday if the key is sitting up here and needs to be unlocked, or I think I don't know why it's a code. I think
Yeah, I don't know.
and then I just wrote it down. I know Stan said we didn't have to think about it tonight, but is there any recommendations or ideas about 140 Parsons Field Road?
Is there any way that we could sell it? Well, I know we were told by the, not to until the audit was done, but.
We sold the Moore building.
Sold the more building,
Yeah.
so what's the
Yeah.
difference? We're not
I
gonna
think
get
that
anything
was-
other than our costs out of it anyway.
That is a mess that needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
That was different though. The
It is,
town,
and I mean, the difference with the Moore building
the
is
town building.
it's $1 amount and we know
Yeah.
exactly where the money goes. The problem there is we've got fees, we got expenses, we got lawyer
Yeah.
fees that Trio apparently can't tell us between Judy and Julie how to account for the money. But at this point, it's probably more important that we get rid of the liability and figure out the money later. We're gonna get the money. At some point, they'll figure it out. We just gotta add it to the pot of money that's messed up already. It's just gonna add a few dollars to the total.
I think we ought to sell it. I mean, there are a couple people in town that.
There's people that want it.
You know, we're not, other than the $7,000 that we're gonna get back from it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's sold for $7,001. It doesn't make any difference as long as we recoup our money. If somebody responsible is gonna get it, clean it up.
I make a motion, we have Casey Gray relist the lot on Route 160, whatever the map and lot number is.
For what amount?
Whatever amount it was last listed at.
Yeah, we're not allowed to pick an amount. It has to be at fair market value, and she does an analysis of that.
Yeah, so whatever amount we had it listed at previously, because we had it listed and took it off. I want to say it was 38,000 or something?
When they gave us a report, though, it was, I thought they said it was worth more, but, all right, so there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing,
For selling it?
for
Yeah.
selling it, yep. Seeing none, all those in favor? And I am abstaining as she is my employer. Now
Get that lot sold.
what?
Get that lot sold.
Yeah, I know. If anyone wants to build a modular on it, come see me. I open it to hearing of citizens. I'm seeing Ricky. I'm seeing Ricky.
Just a minute. Getting back to the garden, Ricky Richardson. You wanna look at that in the morning? See what we can do with that? Any ideas?
What time?
I can down.
What time?
Whatever time's good for you guys, 7, 8 o'clock.
Put this trash out at 4:59, so anytime after that.
Gotta wait till John, 7 o'clock comes twice a day too. John.
Bernie will be. I don't know why you didn't bother Bernie. He'll be
I
up
know.
anyway.
Bernie texted me the other day at like
I
2
had
in
an
the morning.
email at like 2:17 a.m. So
Bernie, do you sleep?
he sleeps like I do. Not well.
How about 9:30?
9:30.
Oh, I wait. Oh, 10 o'clock then. I don't get into beauty sleep.
How about 7?
Let's meet at 5.
I don't care.
Yeah, we'll put the trash out.
Well, I have a flashlight if you want.
What's gonna happen with the fence out there? Is that gonna be taken down?
Maybe our road commissioner
There's
will
no
tell
fence.
us.
I don't think there's any fence left.
There's 2 telephone poles
Okay.
in the corner.
I think
Can
fences are.
we look at the drainage issue too, with all the runoff that comes out in the parking lot in the winter?
Your minute's fast approaching. I'm kidding. I'm
Meeting's
kidding.
adjourned.
I'm kidding.
So what time are we gonna meet?
7?
Okay, that's fine. That's fine with me.
And the drainage issue?
Yeah. We look at that too?
I think while you guys are out there, why?
Aren't we leaving that up to the engineers to do for the project? This is something different?
No, this has been going on since the garden was installed.
Just a temporary
Talk
thing.
about it
How
on-
it-
I'll talk about it in the morning.
It's an easy fix, I just wanna look at it,
We'll look at it in the
so we
morning.
can all look at it together. Okay, thank you.
All right. Gail? The four-way stop.
Your four-way stop.
I have seen so
Tomorrow.
many Facebook posts about this four-way
Tomorrow's the
stop.
big day.
I'm so excited.
You don't even go that way.
I know. I'm just excited to stop seeing the Facebook posts.
We've had a lot of people stop and talk and ask, and people are already stopping at it. That's why we covered all the signs.
Oh.
But thank you to Alicia and her nice emails and text messages. A 24-hour notice was posted so everybody would know. So they
Starting
wouldn't just be
tomorrow.
ripping down every corner road and slam the brakes on.
Starting tomorrow.
But yeah,
Flashing
it's
signs.
tomorrow. We're gonna flip the switch tomorrow if everything goes right.
What time?
Don't even go there. As soon as we get some stripes down,
All right.
probably midday.
Going through there.
Midday.
I'm going through there at 12:30, flooring it.
Yes.
When is Range Road going to be striped?
Anytime, as soon as I get a call back. I'd like to get that done. Brand new pavement.
And do we have a striping machine, like
Just a little hand
a
one.
little one? I've just noticed over the last few weeks driving by that there's a lot of vehicles parking in the fire lane out here. And I know that I drive a fire truck for part-time and I could not get a fire truck through there.
Out here?
Out that side door, yeah. So not something, I mean, it is urgent, but
We have a small one, which we do like.
That
up by
Main
the-
Street?
Up by the Main Street.
Okay.
And the Jeremiah Mason house, we did that. We probably ought to do it again,
all right.
because it's starting to fade, so.
Yep.
We did Sweeney's for it.
Perfect.
Better place to have handicap parking spot than it would be out back.
What's that?
Having a handicap parking right on the side between those two no parking signs.
Speaking of this parking lot.
People already
Options are
parked.
reserved for Howard and John.
Hey, come on.
Speaking of this parking lot, when
I'm
you're gonna
in
do the
favor of
temporary
that, Charlie.
patches,
Get a motion.
when you're gonna do the temporary patches,
As soon as we can.
okay?
What time?
Every time I plan a date, it rains.
Oh,
So,
blame it on,
next
Talking about out front.
week.
Out front, yeah,
I
just,
said next week, and then we had 3 days of rain, so let's shoot for next week again. How's that?
Supposed to
What do you want to do up by the building where that spigot is? You said you want to put a splash block out
yeah,
there?
put some asphalt down there for now. I'll go to Home Depot or the hardware store and get a splash block to put down there, so when they fill the sprinkler system, it doesn't dig a hole.
bring a PO.
Good.
We'll have to address that when they do the big project, but.
Good.
No other questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Seeing no other hearing assistants, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Thank you, guys.